The first thing is that Te Kahu Tōpuni o Tūperiri, it's a metaphor for the actual rohe of Ngāti Whātua ki Tāmaki. And so if you look at a map and you colour out our rohe, if you look at it close enough, it looks like an outstretched dogskin cloak. And so that name, Te Kahu Tōpuni o Tūperiri, is obviously taken from the last battle of the conquest of Tāmaki, Te Ara Pūweru. And that was where, and it's the third chapter actually of the 3 chapters where we conquered Tāmaki in around 1740. And so in the third chapter, word had gotten back to the kaipara that the Waiohua and Ngāiwi people, or remnants, and Mōrehu, that they had gathered at Māngere Pā, otherwise known as Te Pane o Matoho. And this had angered some of the chiefs up there, but in particular Tūperiri, who hadn't felt yet that that ample vengeance had been gained for the death of his sister Tahatahi, or Tahataha, as some refer to her. And also for all the other whanaunga that died, particularly those at Waituoro. So he was still particularly upset. And, it was his time to lead. We're not sure if he was a part of the first chapter, Te Rangi Hinga Hinga Tahi, that was led by Wai Tāheke and Wai Hekeao, by Wai Tāheke, his older brother, and by Waha Akiaki, an uncle cousin. We're not even sure if he was there. We're not even sure if he was part of the second chapter, the Waka Kōrari, that was led by Murupainga Te Whaita. But we can be damn sure that Tūperiri had the full support of the kaipara and te tāu to lead the full and final battle against Waiohua Ngāiwi. And so he led his people, his war party down here, his war band, and it was just utter destruction. It was the full stop on the, which was the end of the Waiohua Empire, but it became the beginning of the Te Tāu occupation of Tāmaki Makaurau. And a big part to that battle was the people of the Pā spreading out shells on the ground to alert them in the middle of the night. Tūperiri instructed his men to take off their dogskin cloaks and to lay it down as a pathway. They laid them down as a pathway. Must have been a lot of cloaks. And they crept their way into the Pā and sacked the Pā. And that was the end of pretty much that hegemonic empire of Waiohua here in Tāmaki. And so, getting back to Te Kahu Tōpuni o Tūperiri, the Waiata, that's where its name is taken from, is from that whole last battle, Te Ara Pūweru. But also, when you lay that cloak upon the ground, it looks a little bit like the outline of our rohe. There are 4 elements to this waiata, and they're real specific. And so in a way it's a roadmap to our own people. It's an educational tool, and it's saying to our own people, you may at times ask yourself and question yourself, why do my people have this elevated position in Tāmaki Makaurau? Well, if you learn this waiata, it'll give you every take why we are the tangata whenua and why we have mana. And the mana is underpinned by 4 take. And so the first take is take tupuna. And in that first part of the waiata, you'll see all the different references to our ancient whakapapa that we inherit through marriages. Those strategic marriages to the mohoruas, to the te tahuris, to Tūperiri's mother, Tokarairai, also to Kuraroa and her ngaiwi whakapapa. And so these are all strategic marriages that bring in the ancient bloodlines of ngaiwi, te arawa, tainui, and whoever else. These are the ngāoho whakapapa. These are the ancient ngaiwi whakapapa. And so you've got oho mairangi ngāriki ngaiwi, te wai o hua kaiwaka, the waters of hua kaiwaka. That refers to when he was an old man and he was asking for water. And one of his piriponos grabbed him a water and dropped it and the calabash broke. Karere te wai. And so that's te wai o hua kaiwaka. And then you get to the two big symbols of take tupuna, of ancient whakapapa people. And those are the Kahu pōkere, the black hawk, which, as retold to me by Uncle Morris Wilson, the black hawk of Tāmaki was a shared symbol of those ancient hapu, particularly the ones that live now here at Orake, Pūkaki and Ihumātao. And so that was our shared kaitiaki. And that when a war party was on the move against us, the kaitiaki would rise up into the sky and fly over the villages, alerting them. And they knew, he ope kei te haere mai. So that's the Kahu pōkere, and it stands on the pau mua at Orake on our whare. The other symbol was the white dog, the kuri rangaunu. And the kuri rangaunu is recounted in the stories, particularly regarding Pauate's brother Pāpaka. And so you've got Pauate, te horeta, mokorua, apihai. Well, we're now recalling the stories and narratives around Pāpaka. And it was Pāpaka who avenged the death of their father, Pauate and Pāpaka's father, Tapaue. So Tapaue gets killed, the short story. Tapaue is murdered. Wasn't a very nice guy. But he got murdered, and so Pāpaka goes on a journey to find the killer, and during his journey he questions a couple of old tohunga, and one of the tohunga says, you can't, this fella, he can be beaten because he's not like your tupuna, the black hawks of Tāmaki and the white dogs of Tāmaki who will never be lost in the night. You know, he's nothing like a kuri rangaunu or a Kahu pōkere. He's just a normal guy. And so that's that part of that Pāpaka narrative. And it points back to the people of Tāmaki pre the conquest. They were unbeatable. Couldn't be beaten. These white dogs of Tāmaki, they were the elevated people. They were top table. You know, they were the overdogs. They were the top dog. They could not be beaten, apparently. No one told Kaipara that. And then you get the other kōrero around Pāpaka looking for the killer of his dad. And, you know, and you get that disparaging remark about the killer being, he's just a kuri pure pure. He's a spotted dog. He's an underdog. He's a nobody. And so the kuri pure pure becomes a symbol of the other people being kaipara coming through and smashing the kuri rangaunu. And so now you've got these two beautiful symbols that we inherit through our take tupuna, the kuri rangaunu, the white dog, and also through our take raupatu, the kuri pure pure, the spotted dog, which old underdog became the top dog in the end. And so we've talked about the take tupuna being our ancient unbroken bloodlines back to Ngāoho, Oho Mairangi, and the Te Arawa Waka, Tainui Waka, and all those other ancient people. That's undisputed, and we take that as being read. They are us, we are them, and so there is no difference between what those other ancient people claim as being their hereditary right here and our hereditary right. So that there's the take tupuna. But really what seals the deal is our take raupatu. And again, this is such a massive underpinning of our mana here in Tāmaki. And so in 1740, around about that time, you've got the killing, or the killings at Waituoro by Waiohua. Now, previous to that, for the previous 20 or 30 years, you'd had the movement of, let's call them our Ngāti Whātua people. They were moving from the upper Kaipara into the southern Kaipara, and they were conquering all the lands, and the people that were getting pushed out of there was the Ngāiwi. And these were the relations and that kind of broad whakapapa of Waiohua. So Ngāiwi were getting pushed out of there, out of South Kaipara, didn't like it, they were getting pushed back into Tāmaki. And so, come forward 20 years to 1740, Kiwi Tāmaki was pretty upset about that. Kiwi Tāmaki being the big chief of Tāmaki, living on top of Maunga Kie. And so he, along with a fellow called Te Raraku, and Te Raraku is a Ngāti Whātua, he's a Ngāti Rongo, who's had obvious kind of rarurari with his whanaungas. He gets together with Kiwi and says, yeah, we can take them. They're going to have a bit of a tangi up at Waituoro for Tumu Pakehi. And Tumu Pakehi was the big chief of Te Tau. And so Tumu Pakehi is lying in state at Waituoro, not far from Parakai, and Kiwi Tāmaki and his people come through, pretending to, come through and have a tangi, but at the right time a signal was made, and underneath their cloak out came the patu, and bang, 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 our people were killed. And I think according to Paora Tūhae, there was some 60 people that were murdered there. Well, that became the take, or the pū take, for our people to then come down and get revenge. And so the first hit was at Rangi Hinga Hinga Tahi, the Battle of Rangi Hinga Hinga Tahi, and it was at Paruroa, down on the Manukau. And just, as a summary, our small war band of probably around 300 men, partly led by Waha Akiaki, the son of Tumu Pakehi, partly led by the older brother of Tupiriri, Waiheke, or Waitaheke. So Waitaheke and Waha Akiaki lead their 300 men down into Tāmaki, and they meet thousands of Waiohua who had come by canoe, who had come over land to try and destroy this war party. And I'm afraid it didn't turn out the way they thought it would. And in fact, Te Tau utterly destroys them. Waiohua in one day, their military might, their leadership, their invincibility that they'd built over how many generations, gone in a day, gone in one day, destroyed. In fact, Kiwi Tāmaki is cut up and taken back to the Kaipara, where he's hung on the pūriri tree at Maungangu to fulfill the prophet, or to fulfill not so much the prophecy, but the exchange of words that Kiwi and Waha Akiaki had just after that killing at Waituoro. And the kōrero was basically from Waha Akiaki, from Kiwi Tāmaki says to Waha Akiaki, mate, tomorrow your breastplate's going to be hanging on top of my tree at Maunga Kie. And Waha Akiaki says to him, I don't think so. It'll be your breastplate and your bone hanging from on top of our tree at Maungangu. And unfortunately for Kiwi, and lucky for us, it was Kiwi who died, and his body was hung up on the pūriri tree there. That was the first big hit into Tāmaki, broke the back of Waiohua. Then you've got the second wave coming down. We're not too sure how long that second wave took, but it was led by Muru Painga Te Whaita from Ngāti Rango, and it was a small group of men who came down on a waka, and it went down the Helensville River, Te Awaroa, and then they crossed over at the portage at Pitoitoi, dragged their waka into the Waitemata, and then covered themselves over with flax and everything. And there were 3 or 4 fellas up there paddling the waka and waving out to all the past sites as they went past. And as they went past, and I think they took shelter for the night. There's a couple of places that are talked about. One is Motu Tā Ngaingai, that little island down there by the harbour bridge, and then around by now what do they call it? Anyway, there's a nice little bay just in Northcote there, and they took a shelter there as well, I think. So anyway, the upshot is that the next day they make their way past Taurarua and Onepu Whakatakataka and Takaparawhau, and they wind their way into the bay at Mission Bay there. This end of Mission Bay at Kohi Maramara, and the people thinking it was a bit of a picnic or a pikiniki or whatever, they go running down to the beach, but there was no pikiniki, just highly trained killers. And that was the beginning of the end for these people here. So the whole of this area, Takaparawhau, fell, people were slaughtered, and then they moved over into Paritai Drive to Onepu Whakatakataka, slaughtered those people, and then that night they could hear the watchman from Taurarua, from Pānau, singing out, "Ka hore nei a te huru, ka hore nei a te kaura." You know, these were the whanaunga of these men who were in the waka. And that just amped them up, so the next morning they went there, slaughtered them, Taurarua, gone. And then they moved into all the different town pā, slaughtered all of them. And so all of the Waitemata pā fell in a couple of days. That was chapter 2. And then chapter 3, I've already mentioned, was Te Ara Pūweru, where Tūperiri and his men put the final nail in the coffin of Waiohua, and that was the end of the Waiohua Empire here in Tāmaki. And Te Tāu became the new tangata whenua, the new mana whenua of this area. We've talked about the tuku whenua. The last part is, and the tuku whenua is important as one of those underpinnings of our mana here, because again it showed the undeniable right of Apihai to allocate land to whoever he pleased. And so that's the tuku whenua. Probably the most important element that we can identify today of the four. And again we hark back to take tupuna, take raupatu, tuku whenua. But really the most important today is our ahi kā. And so the ahi kāroa, the long burning fire, whether they be fire to keep you warm, fire to cook food, fire to signal other people, those are all symbols of life, of community, of occupation. So how else would you show ahi kā but to actually taki out the names, to say the names of those key ancestors from the actual leader of the full and final battle, Tūperiri, his 4 sons, and the 8 mokopuna. And so you've got Tūperiri, and then the sons, Whakariki, Tomoaure, Pai Whenua, Tarahawaiki, and then you've got the mokopuna of Tūperiri, Whatarangi, Uruamo, Awarua, Te Paki o Rehua, Apihai, Atareta, Te Tinana, Tokotoko, Fu. Those are the faces, our paumata, of who we are today. And so when I look around our marae, when I look around the people at our hui, at tangihanga, at celebrations, at blessings, tokotoko, te tinana, tarahawaiki, you can see the faces of our tupuna and our people today. And that's our ahi kāroa, whether it's the fire to build, to keep us warm, to cook food, to signal, whatever. Those are the fires of occupation, of community, of life. Those are who we are. We are the ahi kā, and no one will ever take that away from us.